Hey everybody, I wanted to show a little bit more about my game and specifically show some of the utilities that I've created to add features to the game. So I go over to utilities and note that I have a password currently to access the utilities because the way the utilities are set up now is that they write directly to my project folder, and when I compile the project into a jar or a Java file for a user to play, it works for the user. However, a user cannot currently write the files to their desktop to upload later. That feature is going to come in the future, but it's not the highest priority. I have to code all of the abilities and create all the units. So it's important. So having the tools that I can create them and it writes to the project and it's absorbed into the system, I need to be able to do that. But in the future, I'm going to make it that the map maker tool that you can export it to a text file on your computer and then upload it. And I'm going to do another cool feature where users can create a map in game and then directly share it with other people to preview that map, just sending it through a string to other players. And then maps that are rated positively will be saved into the game permanently as permanently added maps. So I have a map maker. I'll show this first. So we'll type in my little code. Again, I have a password here because a user trying to use the utilities currently before they're set up to export to a user's desktop would cause the program to crash. I don't want a user's experience to involve a crash, so I have a password to be able to use the utilities just for, as a mini safety feature. So this is the map maker tool. I can click on these different elemental hearts to change what kind of base map pops up. Grass map, lava map, water, marble for classic chess, or wood for very neutral. I can click on these things down here. I can add mountains. I can add trees. I just click on them and it adds to them. I can go back to fire. I can add obsidian. Add a little pit to hell. Why not? So this is my map making tool. And then when I save it, it saves to a map files folder in my directory. And these files can be loaded automatically by the overall game engine. And as with everything, I'm now using JSON to make it maximum compatibility and easy to use and maintain. This is my unit maker. Down here I have all the different tribes for my units. So I have like elemental beast, and I can click on the name for that element, the name for that unit, and it pops up that unit and with the unit art and then the name and stats for that unit. I had to convert my unit files to a new file, so only certain units that have already been converted have the names of their abilities, like Spirit Bear's abilities are Phase Shift, Arcane Vortex, Magic Mushroom. Its element is Arcane. It's a beast that actually needs to be an elemental beast, so I'm going to update that. Actually, I'm going to do that right now. I'm going to save that, so that's updated. Magic attack, armor, range attack, can it attack at range? This should be true. I'll save that. Yeah. So this is my unit maker. And again, it writes the text files to a directory in my project folder. And then there's an issue with using Google's Guava for input-output for reading files inside of a jar. So I'm actually using, I think, the buffered reader to directly read text files that are in my directory, but that does work while compiled into a jar. But the one limitation is that if I add a new unit, I have to add a string to a unit database file that I have that has one line for every unit, just the name of the unit and the name of the directory for that unit. So for like here, it's like source main resources unit file spiritbear.txt, and so I have that unit file in the resources folder, but it's a little bit different once it's compiled to a jar. Then it goes directly to unit files, not to a resources folder. And so when I add a unit, I just have to do one thing and just go down here and add the unit to this file. But then it compiles correctly and we're good. I go back and I can go to my ability gen. I'm really proud of my ability gen. It has a couple features that are really cool. This is the beam chart. I use this to create the target pattern for an ability. Here I have the ability name, description. I have previews for the different abilities that it can be. Some of them are really cool. This orange mandala is pretty cool. I have some pretty nice blood splashes and slashes. Some of them are really funny. I have a little dancing mushroom thing. Then I have sound effects, and I can just click on the sound effect to preview it. I can decide what race can use the ability, although I'm having abilities on a per unit basis, so that's not really going to be used, but I built that in there just in case later on I want to have a pool of abilities that different races can use. Have the ability magnitude, so like if I have a basic pattern but the magnitude could extend that pattern. I can say, is the ability unit direct? Does it specifically affect one unit, multiple units? Is it a square ability that it hits one square, or a multi-square like an explosion? A self ability or a self multi-square like an AoE explosion around yourself? Then I have the ability categories. Blast strike, range strike, strike, drain strike. That's an ability that heals while doing damage. Resurrect, summon, terrain for changing terrain, transforming, ability steal, buff, teleport, stealth, and taunts. I have buff types and buff magnitude and buff duration, and status types like heartbroken, hopeless, drunk, poisoned, exhausted, asleep. Again, the magnitude and the duration. Although depending on the status effect, magnitude might not do anything. Like for drunk, magnitude might not do anything, or for blind, magnitude might not do anything, but duration would. But I have it there just in case. I have all the units that are in the unit database automatically loaded to this summon box, so I could make a spell summon a unit. And then if I go and click on an ability, this I'm really proud of. Oh, it got a crash. What happened? Return list. Display units with this ability. Let me see what happened. Obviously, this is still in development. It's still alpha. So, validity, display units with this ability. Alright, let me write down this error. Let me pause the video. Okay, I'm continuing the video. I'm not 100% sure what happened because the exact ability that I clicked on worked and it loaded the features that have the ability. So I'm not currently able to reproduce the glitch. One thing that I think it could have been, if the pictures for that ability were still loading, maybe they had an issue with loading it, change the ability, but I don't know. I'm not 100% sure. There's still glitches in my system overall, but I am really proud of what I've accomplished so far.